Alright, and they're off. So what's interesting is that Twocat's PB is 42.29, which is 5th place on the leaderboard. Sloaters has a PB of, I believe, 43.34, which he got fairly recently. Twocat's PB is a few years old. And that being the case, he spent a lot of time on Super Castlevania 4 in particular, rather than Super Metroid, or the past few years, so. Throughout the group stage of the tournament, his performance was not quite at where his PB was. So based on PB, you'd expect Twocat to win this race, but based on performance in the group stage, we might expect Sloaters to win this race. Twocat getting a 46 series time, very solid. Sloaters on pace for one, but gets steamed early in the elevator room. Elevator room's probably the most dangerous part. One mistake there can lose you a lot of time. So he's going to be about 5 seconds behind. 5 seconds looks pretty large early game. But they'll probably keep about even with where they are now in terms of pacing until they get to the moat room. Which, so, in terms of routes, I'm certain they're both going to be doing new route, Phantoon first. Twocat has always done that in his races. Sloaters, I know, is proficient in both. He's kept up to date on both routes, and he has a 44. He has a mid 44 in old route, which is really impressive. Both of them fairly clean so far. I think Sloaters is having a bit more trouble with his movement due to accidentally resetting his timer and trying to fix it during the race, which actually did an insanely good job of it. Knew exactly what time he was going to get to Morph Ball at. Twocat getting a nice damage boost in the pit room, which is a pretty tough and risky strat. Sloaters getting a partial damage boost, not quite going past that pillar, but it's better to not go the full distance if your damage boost is going to make you fall in the pit instead. Nice parlor climbs. Twocat and Sloaters both making sure that they unmorph as they hit the ground to make sure they don't get extra air time from unmorphing in the air. So Twocat about 10 or so seconds ahead at the bombs pickup. And Twocat looks like he's lining up for a pretty new bomb to resist strat that was posted just the other day from the Tasser Reeve. Just kind of positioning a certain way, setting up timing of shots to space out the missile drop so they don't grab all of them at once. Of course, that's what people try to do, but it's been done in a more manual sense. Twocat doing his signature right side Alcatraz. Right side Alcatraz can be a few frames faster, but vast majority of runners are more comfortable with the left, which is what Sloaters did. Alright, so both of them getting clean Terminator rooms with no damage, and that's it's important to be at full health for them here. What they're both going to be doing is missiling all the green pirates to conserve their health. Making sure to collect a 1 missile drop on the way. So they'll have 2 missiles. They'll be able to get 2 missile drops from Zila's to open the pink door to get early supers here. The missile drops are guaranteed here because they're at full health, so if they were to accidentally take a hit, they would have to chance getting health instead. Twocat getting the mock ball cleanly across the bridge. Sloaters actually having a bit of trouble not... I think he hit his head on the top of the door, so he had to set it up within the room, which is a tiny bit more difficult, but pretty inconsequential to runners at this level. So kind of as expected, Twocat's just maintaining his lead throughout the section. And really, when they get to the boat, that's going to be deciding... that's going to decide for now whether the lead changes hands or not. I don't think we're going to see a lead change before that. Twocat grabbing charge missiles and charge beam. Sloaters right behind him. Twocat in Green Hill Zone, getting a damage boost over that pillar right after shooting that gate open, which is the optimal way to do that room. Sloater is using a charge shot to give him a bit more leeway with hitting that gate since the charge beam hitbox is wider. And Twocat going up red tower, so this is the defining point of old route versus new route. Doesn't quite make it up the tower the first time, but they both do get the hero shot to break the block on the way up. That shot's quite difficult to do with an uncharged shot. It's fastest to do with uncharged, but it's quite difficult because your shot moves faster than an uncharged shot. So you have to wall jump up really quickly to keep up with it and not despawn it. Both getting the power bombs just fine. They're going to lay a power bomb here to pre-open that orange door for the way back later. And now we're going to head to Fantoon, so they're going to have to do one of 2 different tricks to get across the moat to wreck ship with no items. They can do the CWJ continuous wall jump, or they can do the horizontal bomb jump, or HBJ. Twocat does not do the setup against the door to set up the CWJ, so he's gonna go for the HBJ most likely. He's not doing a setup at all. Sloater's going for the CWJ. This works by jumping at the last frame before entering the water, and then doing a 2-frame window jump off the other side of the pedestal, and he gets it first try, which puts him ahead. Really, really nice job from Sloaters. That trick is not easy to do first try. I would say it's easier it's simpler to understand how to do. The HPJ is a lot more nuanced. The HPJ generally at a high level is more consistent, a bit slower. Twocat having some troubles with it, getting across the mode about 20 seconds later than sloaters. So that has changed the lead. Now we've got the Fantoon fight coming up. The Fantoon fight is pretty tough. They actually both have the same exact amount of health, 117. Fantoon's hits all do 40 damage, so it's going to... it can be hairy to get through this fight. In Old Route, you have 2 E-Tanks and Various which halves damage. Fantoon also does figure 8 patterns, and each pattern has a fast, medium, or slow variation depending on at what point his eye opens up. Slaughter's got a mid pattern there, which wastes about 5 seconds compared to a fast pattern, which is not too bad, really. And he gets a fast in the second round. So he's going to try and stunlock Fantoon with missiles, and he gets a 2-round, which is really, really difficult. Really nice job from Sloaters. I didn't see Twocat's patterns. I think he's on the 3rd round now. Not quite certain. No, I think he was on the 2nd round, actually. I think he would have gotten the kill otherwise. Yes, I think that is a 3-round from Twocat. Again, I'm not sure. Somebody can correct me. So they're going to be getting the left side wreck ship super as their second and only remaining super pack. Slaughter's actually doing a damage boost off of the spark on the left side of that room, which is a tiny bit faster. It does cost 30 health, so it's something that you really only want to do if your health is very high, which both of them coming out of Fantoon with excellent health and pretty good ammo too. Not the best ammo, but could be a lot worse. Sloaters accidentally, I think he meant to super that atomic, but instead missiled it. So you have to go back and kill that. In the attic, you have to defeat all the enemies to open the door. So over the moat and his 2-round Fantoon fight and the fast patterns that Sloaters got, he's pulled into quite a lead. He's going to jump across bowling. He has 189 health, and these spikes do 60 damage each. So you ideally will make it across here in 2 hits from the spikes. If you mess up, then you can take 3, which will kill you if you don't have really good health going into the room. But ideally, you just don't want to mess the jumps up. Some players opt to go for low damage boosts in the room, which get you onto the ground after the knockback right away. You see Twocat actually going for them here. They're a bit risky, since if you get a high damage boost, you actually end up covering less distance because you can't get enough running speed with your invincibility frames. But doing 2 low damage boosts does let you jump straight into the Chosen Statue's arms. Sloaters gets a low 14-minute gravity time, which is very good for a race. The top times are kind of mid to low 13 minutes. We have seen some of those in the tournament as well, which is crazy. Alright, Twocat still about 20 seconds behind. Still a lot of game left that he can make up time in. So you may see another slight route difference here. I noticed throughout the group stage, Twocat did a variation of a safer variation of new route. So normally, new route, optimally you'll do Fantian, Ridley, Kraid, and Dragon as the boss order. But if you do what low percent traditionally does, and you do Kraid before Ridley, you lose, I've heard it's a dozen seconds or so, due to not having Speed Booster in Kraid's lair, and having to farm for ammo on your way out of Norfair, going to Meridia. Also really nice Moonfalls from Twocat down Red Tower. But yeah, so Twocat has been doing the PKRD route in his races. Loses a little bit of time, but can provide some extra safety. You will have Variasuit for Lower Norfair, which means if you do the gravity jump, where you take off gravity to jump into Lower Norfair, you take less damage from the lava during that trick. And he will have the opportunity to grab the Kraid energy tank, which you can have an extra E-tank in Lower Norfair. Lower Norfair is by far the most dangerous part of this run, I would say. But it actually looks like he's not doing that. He's going all out. He's going PRKD, the standard new route. He took a lot of his group stage races very safely. I think part of it was due to rust, but he also knew against his group stage opponents that he had a lot more leeway to work with, and with sloaters against him, not so much. So they're both going for high jump boots, and then they'll be going and getting Ice Beam. Doing a mock ball under these gates as they don't have Speed Booster yet. They both did a mock ball strat where you kind of try and hit your head on the gate to fix your jump height a little bit, make it a bit faster. Sloaters with a really clean ice escape, which is mock balling under the gate on the way out. That's significantly harder than doing it on the way in is pretty free, but doing it on the way out, you need to use at least one of those trippers as a bridge. It's much easier with both trippers frozen in the correct spot as well. Twocat only managing to freeze the left one, but he does still get the mock ball. It's much tighter. You have to run the full distance of what you have available with only one frozen. Sloaters is through the cathedral and he's in Rising Tides. Twocat 2 rooms behind him. The Sloaters using more traditional strat to climb Bubble Mountain. That's pretty much the same strat you'll see in Old Route. In New Route, since the runners have Ice Beam, some people do use the waivers to assist in climbing, like Twocat's doing here. So that's a really cool way you can use Ice Beam to get up a bit faster. And it also, I think that also mitigates the risk of the cack attack at the top, shooting at spikes and knocking you down. Sloaters mitigated that risk also by pseudo-screwing it. Okay, Sloaters farming the bugs here. They're called gamuts. Taking 4 rounds, I think, up to a count of 9 supers, which is really good, obviously, since that's near his max of 10. Twocat not having quite the same luck. He's going with 5 supers. Super count is relevant here because each super saves 2 seconds in the Ridley fight. since Ridley takes double damage from supers. Twocat actually skipping the wave missile, so he's going to be going with the count of 15 missiles. So 15 and 10 is the minimum that you need to get through Turian without having to take an extra refill. So obviously, the fewer items you pick up, the more the fewer 400 frame fanfares you have to sit through. That's 6 2/3 of a second. Skipping the wave missiles, though, that's generally the one that you will skip if you're going 15-10. But it's pretty... it doesn't save the full amount of time because you have to jump over it, and your speed becomes more limited in double chamber as a result. So Sloater's going for the Lava Spark. Does a couple of attempts to try and get the short charge for it. Does not get it. Twocat doesn't do it either. So they're both going to have to do the gravity jump to get into Lower Warfare instead. So when you jump and you take off, pause and take off the gravity suit mid-jump, you'll keep the initial upward speed you had from your jump, but you'll end up with the slower deceleration from the liquid, which causes you to rise really fast. So you have all this speed, but per frame you're losing your speed much slower than you would be if you were still in normal physics. All right, Sloater's still ahead, getting the Shine Spark for fast pillars. Twocat not getting it, actually having to use 2 power bombs for these pillars. Sloater's in the worst room in the game and gets the strat really nicely. It's just a really precarious room in this route. You need to manipulate the pirates, pretty much lay the power bomb in the right place, and then wall jump off it while the pirates are experiencing invincibility frames to the power bomb explosion. So that they don't hit you. Twocat gets up nicely as well. I think Sloater's is going for the Shine Spark in this room. He's gonna... Oh, I don't think he's gonna... Okay, he kills 1 Key Hunter with it. I think he noticed that he messed up his movement a bit, so he wasn't gonna be able to hit 2 of them with the standard strat. Wasn't fast enough to get past that last one, so he had to wait and roll under it in an opportune time. If you can Shine Spark, horizontally Shine Spark a wall and kill 2 of those Key Hunters, which reduces lag in this room and gets you a couple drops as well. So Sloater's is 73 energy. I can only take 2 hits from these Deskigas. It looks like he chose to risk one of them hitting to try and mock ball under them and get through the room faster. Twocat with more HP is, you know, has less risk in doing that as well. So Sloater's Shine Sparking these ninja pirates to death. It's a tiny bit slower than using supers, but of course, if you're using 3 supers in each one, that's a lot of supers that you could be using in the Ridley fight instead. Twocat missing the second Shine Spark, so he's going to have to super that one to death. Ideally, you don't want to have to do that. So Sloater is going into Ridley fight with 9 supers, which is really good. You also notice that he has the full beam combo of Charge Ice Wave Spazer equipped, while Twocat actually unequipped down to Wave. It's because Twocat is going to be attempting to use the special beam attack for Wave Beam called X-Factoring on Ridley as an opener, whereas Sloater's is just going for standard beam shots. So each of the X-Factor particles does the damage of a regular super missile, not double damage to Ridley like supers actually do, but 300 essentially. Twocat going for the second X-Factor setup and missing it, 2 of the particles flying around. So that's one of the risks of that strategy, is that if you have X-Factor particles flying around that don't connect, you cannot shoot your beam. You have to try and get them to hit, or hit the tail for no damage, or wait for them to fizzle out. So after the opener, they're both going to be doing the same fight essentially, which saving their supers for the second half, because that's when Ridley starts to move faster. Slaughter's having 9 supers. He's gonna pretty much just be able to pop all of his soon and end the fight. Twocat has 4 fewer supers. He's gonna have to do 10 extra shots with his beam during the red phase. Okay, Slaughter's finishing up Ridley, gets the kill with a low 25-minute time, which is really good. I think he's on... I don't know time super well, but I feel like he's on pace for 43. Twocat knowing exactly how Ridley's going to move during these swoops and how to manipulate his ramming. So you can see him end his fight cleanly as well. Jumping right into Ridley's claw to get him to die right away. Ridley doesn't actually die on his own when he hits 0 HP. He either has to do a certain count of death swoops, or you have to get grabbed by his claw. Okay, so Sloaters grabbed the Ridley energy tank, which is 2 extra door transitions to grab his 30 tank. Twocat opting to skip it with only about 150 or so energy. So escaping Norfair is going to be quite precarious for him. Twocat still does have the option to get the Firefly energy tank and refill his health that way for the second set of red key hunters to get out. But Slaughters is going to be sitting really pretty. He's going to be trying to dodge these key hunters, but really if he doesn't manage to dodge them, like look at these two, they're kind of clumped together. And if they do that, there's not much you can do. So it is down to luck partially. But yeah, Slaughters can take a bunch of damage and still be fine. Twocat really, he needs to get through this first set of key hunters to be fine. And then depending how much damage he takes here, he's going to reevaluate. He took a hit from that first one, which is actually really bad. Like, he almost never... that first one, I feel, is almost always avoidable. So taking the first hit from it's pretty disheartening. It looks like he's jumping in this room, actually. So he's going to actually still skip the Firefly tank, even though he has only 74 health. Slaughter's getting through the 3 Musketeers, the second set of key hunters, really cleanly. Twocat is absolutely going to have to require to... only take 1 hit from here to survive. So he's going all out. He knows he's behind. Alright, he gets past the first one, rolls into the second one, takes the hit from the third one, which I think usually happens with this setup, but does get out. And 19 energy is really, really low, but being an upper Norfair with the gravity suit, late game damage reduction, he's not going to die to a hit from anything. So Twocat is going to get the Bottoon energy tank as his the third and final required from Mother Brain, which is the optimal E-tank to grab, but also the most dangerous, as you saw. Slaughter still obviously has the option to grab the Bottoon energy tank as well, and that may actually still be favorable for him to do if his health is low before Dragon, since you fight Dragon by Shrine Sparking her, and so health is actually a commodity during that fight. But both the runners now going to going to get him out of the way, as defeating him still required. And they're going to grab the Varia suit as well. Slaughter's setting up for the quick kill, the 2-missile 3 super method. Gets it nicely. So this works. They're positioning themselves, Twocat going for the same type. They're positioning themselves at a particular point at the very end of that platform. So the timing of their 2 missiles gets Cray to open his mouth, and the second missile strikes him at just the right time for Cray's mouth to be in the stunlock position when they hit with the first super. Slaughter's doing a really nice job of, oh wow, gets the wall jump coming out of there too. And I think he's going to get the mock ball here too. That's actually really difficult to limit your speed to the right point to be able to jump through that vertical door and still mock ball without hitting the wall. But yeah, what he did a really nice job with is missiling the pirates out of the way. You will kill them running through them with Speed Booster, but you want to missile those enemies out of the way anyways, so that you can shoot the door and jump through it. Like, getting through the door cleanly with Speed Booster is a difficult part of that room. Okay, so Sloater's Shine Sparking up Mount Everest. He has pretty much almost no concerns with his health. Twocat has far fewer health at 146, so he may still Shine Spark it. This only takes about 60 or so. 87 is really plenty if things don't go horribly wrong. So Sloater's just one room ahead at this point, actually, still. Going into the Bottoon fight, they're both going to be using an X Factor as the opener. All 4 particles hitting nicely, and it's just 6 supers from there. Sloater's at full health from the Bottoon drops is going to skip that energy tank and just run straight through the room. Now going for the full halfie. Just a very tight Shine Spark. And he gets it. Nicely done. Twocat picking up the Bottoon energy tank as his third. Has a few more supers than Sloater's, so if things go wrong in the Dragon fight, he may be able to recover a bit better. But now he's going for the full halfie as well. Gets that down grab nicely. And gets across. Alright, so Sloater has Power Bomb selected. He's going to do a short charge and X Factor combination. Saw a couple of those particles missed, so maybe not as much damage as he was hoping for. I think he might still be able to get a 2-round out of this if this spark is really good. Alright, and he gets it. We call this 2 with blue, and he's using the blue suit to go for a different Shine Spark suit glitch called, Spike Suit, Spike Spark, Spark Suit, Flash Suit, whatever. It's pretty much a double frame perfect trick that lets him store a Shine Spark for one use anywhere he wants. Difference between that and the blue suit glitch is that he can run with it, so he just saved time by doing that. It's a bit of a risk, actually, since if you there's a bad frame you can hit that will just consume your blue suit Shine Spark when attempting it and leave you with nothing. But Twocat getting it as well. So the really nice thing about the Spike Suit here is that since they can run with it, they can actually grab Dragon's drops and do a running jump to leave the room instead. If they have blue suit, they won't be allowed to run with it, or the game will remember that, hey, you're not supposed to have speed booster state right now. And that means they either have to infinite bomb jump out of the room or do a gravity jump and potentially forego the drops. So Twocat had a really rough, I didn't comment too much, but he had a really rough Dragon fight there. Sparking at the walls too early, resulting in getting grabbed pretty much instantly by the goo once Dragon came out of the wall. So lost a lot of health to that, and time as well. Obviously health being a resource you want to use during the Dragon fight. So Twocat has much better ammo going into Turian. But his health is very precarious. I think he's going to farm for health here a little bit. Okay, 114, that's a lot better for him. So Sloater's only having 2 super missiles going into Torian. With a max of 20 missiles, he's going to need minimum 9 supers to go full speed after all the Metroid rooms. Twocat, being on 15 max missiles, is going to need minimum 10 to continue at full speed. But yeah, so Sloater's, his ammo count is a lot worse, and that's pretty typical for New Route. Oh wow, Twocat getting the bounce ball across Parlor, retaining the blue suit, unmorphing to keep it, unmorphing the angle button to keep it, and then using it to jump through the wall there. That's a really sick strat. It doesn't save a whole lot of time, but with space jump in old route, it's pretty common to just be able to space jump through that wall with the blue suit, but doing it without is much harder. Sloater's taking the opportunity in the elevator to re-equip his ice and spazer. If you do that, if you press the start button and then start going down the elevator, you actually save, I believe, 48 frames on the elevator ride if you pause during it. So that's the best time to equip your beams. Sloater's having 0 supers after the first room, even after doing grouping strats on those Metroids. This is an insanely bad super count for him. He may actually have to resort to killing the first 2 Metroids in room 4 and entering and like refreshing the room. If you don't kill all the Metroids in the room, then they won't despawn, but if you do kill all of them, they're permanently gone. Yeah, this is exactly what he's going to do. So he's got 20 and 7, which isn't quite enough either, but there's a decent chance that he'll get 2 or 3 supers out of this room. Twocat going for grouping strats as well. It's a bit less necessary for him. He came into terrain with a lot more super missiles. Okay, so Sloater's getting 20 and 10, so he has some leeway. Twocat with a very nice super count of 9, and now 10, so he's sitting pretty. Twocat may use a super to dispatch these last 3 Metroids, risking not getting a super back, because it would actually give him greater opportunity to get health, which he did do that. If you have full missiles, all the missile drop chances are converted to health, so yeah, so Sloater's going for baby skip, playing jump rope with the baby to try and avoid getting grabbed. This can be a 20-25 second or so time loss if you go for it and you miss it. But he does get it, which fairly solidly cements his lead. This is one of the big time swings towards the end of the game. Twocat likely going to get it as well. I think he got it in fewer jumps. Alright, clean Zebetite skip. It's normally not a sticking point for top tier runners. Oh, getting missile snipe from the turret, which isn't really a big deal to lose a missile to it. But Twocat has the bare minimum ammo to be able to do to break the tank here. Laying a bomb there to actually destroy that Rinka to the right and reduce lag. Doesn't get any snipes from the turrets, which is good. I think he needed every single bit of ammo. Alright, so 60 shots for Mother Brain with this beam combo. Can't go below 300 or the scripted rainbow beam at the end of the fight will kill you. Mother Brain telegraphs her attacks really, really predictably. There's a lot of nuance to the fight, but as you do it more and more, you really get a feel for what she's going to do and when. So your concern in this fight is just getting these charge shots off as fast as you can, not missing them by firing too soon, as Twocat just did. They waste a full second if you misfire one. Alright, and now below 25% of Mother Brain's HP, the catch-up phase. This beam does 100 damage and can hit multiple times to overlapping hitboxes, so really want to make sure that you don't get hit by it. Alright, and Mother Brain moving her head like that means that Sloaters is through the fight. Alright, and Twocat also through the fight. I want to say 20 to 30 seconds behind. So all that's left for the runners is Mother Brain Phase 3 with Hyper Beam shots and the escape. And performing them well versus performing them poorly generally only loses a few seconds. So this is likely Sloaters' race at this point. Alright, so the winner of this race is going to move on to face Zost in the top 8 quarterfinals. And Sloaters starts the escape at just about the 43-minute mark. Twocat really not far behind, but there's almost no time to be made up here, unfortunately for him. Really close race overall, though. Alright, Sloaters getting the Behemoth Spark, which is a diagonal spark position to weave through the bottom platforms, and if you do it from a crouch, you will clip through the very top platform in the room, whereas other Shine Spark methods will not, so it saves a tiny bit of time. Both of them gonna get low to mid 44 from this, really. Twocat in the parlor just behind Sloaters, but Sloaters finishes first with a time of 44:09. And Twocat right behind him with a time of 44:22. And for both of them, this is the fastest, these are the fastest times they've each posted during the tournament, so GG to both of them. Really good race. Gonna see if either of them want to hop in to talk about it. Alright, and Twocat says in the SRL channel, here's my interview. There's a lot of cussing involved in my run. And with that Dragon, and that time from someone who has a PB of a 42, although it may be a great time for many, many other people, I can understand that. Oh, and Sloaters popped into channel to talk with us. GG Sloaters, congrats on advancing. So how did you feel going into this race, and how did you feel about your performance?
Well, I was a bit nervous. Obviously, it's Twocat. I think pretty much everyone knows who Twocat is and what he's capable of, so probably one of the toughest tournament matches I've ever had, across any tournament. But at the start, I was definitely really nervous, especially after that series. I had a 41 or something, and I could definitely feel it in the first 10 minutes or so. A lot of my movement just wasn't there. That kind of went away after I got the CWJ, and then the nice 2-round Phantoon. I kind of calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed that you were pretty behind at the start from just 5 seconds in series. That doesn't feel good, even though it's only 5 seconds.
Yeah. It wasn't a bad series either. It was just the last room I messed up the jump, and then I got kind of bad steam, and it just sort of snowballed from there. And then it definitely affected my momentum, I think, for a while.
Yeah, but I think that wreck ship really turned it around. You were ahead at that point, and I guess able to play better, knowing there wasn't quite as much of a reason to worry anymore. You kept that lead throughout the rest of the race.
Yeah, I was watching the restream a little bit, and I saw Twocat had some trouble at the mode, so I saw I had not a really comfy lead, but it was at least something that I thought I could maintain.
It's as good, kind of as good as it's gonna get with an opponent like this.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of stuff you have to hope for when you're up against a guy like Twocat. So it worked out for me.
Yeah, did you do old route in all of your group races?
Yeah, so my plan was to kind of do old route against anyone else that did old route. And up until now, everyone I faced did new route, or Toasty did really weird route, but I decided not to do that with him. But yeah, for this one, I definitely wanted to do new route just because I knew he would be doing it, and I would honestly need all the time I could get. My old route PP wouldn't have beat the run he just did, so I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, and this is the best time that he's posted so far. He had a lot of rest through the group stages, but you can tell in this race he really stepped it up. Even though he still wasn't quite happy with his run, it was a lot better than the ones he did before. So now was really the time that you needed to pull out a good run.
Yeah.
But yeah, congrats. 30 seconds off PB is pretty good.
Yeah, I did grab Ridley E-Tank, but I kind of knew in the back of my head if I had a good escape and I got good drops off the bosses, I could skip bot wound, so it wouldn't make a huge difference on my overall time. But unfortunately, that farm in the last Metroid room kind of added some extra time, or else it could have maybe been a 43. But
oh yeah, that was ridiculous. You being past room 2 with 1 super missile.
Yeah, That doesn't happen very often. That's bad time for that to happen, but luckily I only had to do like one farm in the last room, so I had enough of a lead there that it didn't make too much of a difference.
Yeah, definitely the right decision, like in the heat of the moment there too. But yeah, I think that's it. Unless you had anything else you wanted to say, I think we can wrap up.
No, just GG to Twocat. Much respect to him. It was an honor just to play against him. Even, I think he was a little unsatisfied with his run, but still, like, I would not expect to win this one. I kind of thought it could go either way, and yeah, just GG.
It definitely could have gone either way, and that's what made it so interesting. Like, there were good reasons for either of you to have won. I guess with that said, how do you feel going into top 8 against Zoast?
Well, that's probably going to be the end of my tournament run unless something really catastrophic happens to Zoast. But I made it a bit further than I thought I would. My goal was kind of top 16, and it's top 8 now. So I'll just do what I can. Probably treat it as a kind of a PB run against Zoast. Just kind of hope for the best.
Might be what it takes. I think he ran a low 44 the other day against Robotallion, so I think there's some hope, but it's definitely not in your favor.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, thanks for that race. It was a great one. And thanks everyone for watching. Let me see real quick what we have coming up. Also, make sure you follow the runners. They both put on a great race, and they also run other games. Twocat, obviously, I think he might still have the world record in Super Castlevania 4, so he does a lot of that. Sloaters also runs Ori and the Blind Forest, and I think he's in the Rando tournament that's going on currently.
Yep.
Okay, so coming up on this this channel in half an hour is the Link to the Past randomizer summer tournament semifinals, Gem versus Pika Pals. This is the cash tournament. Both of them guaranteed parts of the prize pool, but now we're in a battle to see who gets what. At 2 o'clock, we have a showcase race, I believe, of the Messenger. So that should be really interesting. That's on Speed Gaming 3. On Speed Gaming 4 at 2 o'clock, we have Ori Randomizer. Speed Gaming 5, we have Portal. And check the Speed Gaming schedule to see what else is going on today. Let me see about Super Metroid. Actually, the OSM tournament's thinning out. We're at top 8, so I don't think there's too much on the schedule right now, but definitely stay tuned for more great races. And have a good day, everyone.